Challenges, as I conclude. What makes maintaining the balance difficult? Sometimes the executive wants to have over control over public resources. Party influence can limit independent parliamentary actions. I've talked about that. Sometimes it's all about caucuses, and then because of party and so on, you don't, it might end up being a challenge. What I would advise, even if your party has a position, look at the national interest. Why? Because the Constitution says national interest first, before you look at your parties. But I've seen other people who look at party interest, then the national interest come later. Not every other time your party's interest is national interest. And it doesn't matter which party, whether they're ruling or even with the opposition. Sometimes there is a conflict. So you as members of parliament, I advise for you to look at the national interest, then you can go to the party interest. Or try to harmonize in your caucuses, because that's where you can do that harmony. Quite easily, freely, and in good faith. On the floor, you'll be looking at competition. And you know, sometimes cheap goals. Who scores a cheap goal? I'll give you an example. Again, I supported the Honorable Hind on the floor on some other matter when he was Attorney General and I was shadow. And then my leader of opposition came, he said, since when did you become government Attorney General? I said, why? He said, if they're making their mistake, it is theirs. Are you the one, are you paid? I said, what is this going on? So, you need to act in good faith. Most important, national interest. Then from there you can look at your party interest, whether ruling party or opposition party. It is secondary to national interest. Sometimes there's a problem of patronage, capacity, constraints. Clerk, you'll have to, I wish the speaker was here. Some of this monies you are saving, I would really counsel that you forward it to that department which builds capacity of MPs. MPs should continue learning. You need to build them capacities. That's why I don't have any problem with foreign travel. Foreign travel, it helps people to see the world. And they don't come different. You know, you are from Mulanda, a village there, somewhere in Tororo. You don't know anything then, but when you start traveling, you even knowing how to dress, you see how people, they dress differently and so on. So, even travel is okay. Build the capacity for members of parliament such that they know what goes in other parliaments, such that they know how members of parliament discuss issues, what makes a member of parliament tick. You may not learn that when you are in Idudi all the time. Idudi is where the Honorable Opondo comes from. So there should be next choose. These are realities which you will have to navigate. So lastly, in conclusion, in Uganda, separation of powers means balanced interaction, not rigid division. Parliament works with the executive, but retains independence to hold it accountable. The judiciary interprets the Constitution and resolves the disputes. As Justice Odochi's three cooking stones teach, Parliament must stay firm and balanced. Weakness invites executive overreach. I repeat, your weakness invites an overreach by this side. The choice is yours. But excessive confrontation, I repeat, excessive confrontation, paralyzes governance. So, you don't need that excessive confrontation if you are disagreeing. Find a way of minimizing your differences and harmonizing. Other than confrontation, don't work for the gallery. Success depends on collaborating without capitulating and overseeing without obstructing. Essential for democracy, constitutionalism, and national development. Thank you very much, and please Have a good 12th Parliament.